The Rhythm Discovery Center is an interactive drum and percussion museum. We've got over 200 different drum and percussion instruments you can play on, as well as a full hands-on and interactive area. It's located inside the Claypool Court building, which is part of the Circle Center Mall, and as a landmark, we're right below the Indianapolis Arts Garden that spans West Washington Street. So if you go to the Claypool building and then take the escalator on your right, we're on the lower level. One of the things that we really try to do at Rhythm is connect to the community. And since we are a drum-based museum, we thought it was just a natural fit. We just felt that it was really important, not only from a historical standpoint, but also from a percussion. I mean, this history, there's only a couple books about the Leedy Drum Company, and we thought it was really important to kind of preserve that history, especially in Indianapolis, and to make people aware of all the really great things that have come out of the city, whether it's, manufacturing or racing or the arts. We have a lot of different drums and artifacts and a lot of rare photographs on display at the Leedy factory. We have a variety of snare drums ranging from 1907 to about 1930. And then we have one of the first ever Leedy drum catalogs that they ever produced here in Indy before they opened their bigger factory. They started out with a smaller factory that was located over off the Circle in the Cyclorama building that was in 3 rooms, and they later moved to the Fountain Square area in Palmer and Barth. The building still exists. It's the Sense Charter School. It took a lot of work to find a lot of information since it was so rare. We have a pretty extensive archive of a lot of old catalogs and information, so we were able to find some information from the mid-20s about the exhibit, but as far as going from 1895, kind of the inception of the company, to about the early 20s, really took a lot of work. So we had some great help from the Historical Society and from Harry Kangany and a lot of the records that he has. So we went to them, and Harry, he had actually documented the building before they turned it into a school. So he had he's like, okay, this is where the timpani room was, or this is where they built the snare drums, and had photos of it, then with the guys working, and now totally vacant. And the building really had stayed a lot the same, but it really, it took reaching out to family members and looking through old catalogs and talking to a couple people in the drum world that had compiled some history and, like I said, had written some of the books that are out there. So Ulysses G. Leedy is the founder of the Leedy Company, and he was a drummer long before he started the company. He was a vaudeville performer that traveled all over the Midwest. He's originally from Ohio, and then he ended up playing a lot of performances in Indianapolis when the vaudeville circuit was really big here, and decided he liked it and decided to stay. And his father was a cabinet maker, so he had a lot of woodworking background, and at the time there wasn't a lot of hardware for drummers to set up their instruments, and there wasn't really like any really big drum companies at the time. And he felt a need to really create a better product for working musicians. So he experimented with different types of drums and how to make them, and ultimately through a lot of his dad's guidance in cabinet making and woodworking, that led him to create some new processes for making drum shells, as well as all the hardware pieces that go on the outside of the drum. The historical impact of Leedy was really huge because they were kind of the first company to ever really pioneer mass producing drums in a big way. And they took drums really from, that hadn't really changed as far as design, probably for a couple hundred years. I mean, the style of drums that were evident in the Civil War and the Revolutionary War were really about the same. And he kind of took it into a more modern age where we can actually have a lot more control of how we tune our drums and how they're set up, so we can get it at a good angle for playing the drums. And then as the time developed, he invented a lot of other different hardware. So, we really learned a lot about him, that he was really a true drummer. I mean, he loved teaching, he loved performing, he loved creating the instruments. So there was a lot of passion and really good energy in that factory. I think that really produced some incredible instruments. So we think it's, it's really important to preserve that and show it to future generations. I'm a drummer myself, and a couple of the other people that worked on the exhibit together were drummers, and we thought, man, this would be really cool to put out there.